Story 1. I've said this before, but it still infuriates me every time I fly. People who stand on top of the baggage claim carousel, so no one behind them can see or grab their bags. If everyone would take a few steps back, we could all see and grab our bags as they come out. Standing on top of the carousel will not make your bag come out first. It will only make me hit you with mine when you refuse to move. Story 2. Every restaurant and fast food website seems to require you to enter your address to order food, even if you only want to view the menu. Story 3. I do not like when people try to talk to me through the bathroom door unless it is very important. I am sure that will change once I have kids. Laughing out loud. But for now I cannot stand it. I also dislike when people with a runny nose keep sucking the mucus back up instead of blowing their nose. I know that one is not logical because it is just inflammation, but I hate the sound. Story 4. I hate it when someone talks to me from another room, and even after I say I cannot hear them, they keep repeating the same thing until I get up and go to them. Story 5. People using speakerphone in public. I do not want to hear any part of your conversation, let alone both sides. Runner-up. People who play music from their phones in public. Story 6. People not moving aside for someone leaving a building, room, or bus. Story 7. If we are watching a television show together and someone talks during it, I get very irritated because I might miss important dialogue or a joke. I can tolerate mindless shows like cooking programs, but for anything with a storyline or comedy, please pause the show or ask to pause before speaking. Story 8. People who do not push their chairs back in when leaving a table. Story 9. People who don't flush the toilet after they're done in public washrooms. I don't want to see or smell what came out of you. Takes 2 seconds. Why? The worst I've seen is blood mixed with feces and urine. Lord have mercy. Story 10. I know I sound like a spoiled teen, but I freaking hate it when people move my stuff. Why isn't that thing where I left it? You put it away? It didn't go away. It went right where I left it. Story 11. People who do not pause for a response in a conversation and just ramble on. Story 12. I do not care if you are fat, old, or slow, or if you are walking with small children, a small dog, or a few friends. What I do care about is that you are blocking the entire sidewalk. Story 13. I hate when people interrupt me when I talk, especially if it is to comment on something I was about to answer for them. I hate when parents refuse to parent and allow their child to scream loudly in public without removing them. I hate when places ask for a tip before I have even received the service. Story 14. Lifted trucks can block a driver's view. A full-grown adult standing in front of one might not be seen. Blinding headlights create hazards. Drivers who do not turn on their headlights at dusk or dawn are dangerous. Especially gray cars that blend into the surroundings and are easy to miss. Story 15. Talking to someone who is always oppositional during conversations. Person A says it is cold out. Person B says it is not too bad. While watching sports, one person says he is great at what he does. The other says he should be when he is making all that money. One person says that show had a great ending. The other says they did not really care for it, to be honest. One person says that movie's ending was horrible. The other says they thought it was good. Looking at new technology, one person says this thing is so cool. It can do X, Y, and Z. The other says at that price it better do X, Y, and Z. I understand that we all have different opinions and none of us will ever agree on everything, but it becomes really draining when you are talking to someone who is constantly contrarian, dismissive, or who just seems to push back for the sake of it. Feels less like a conversation and more like a game of trying to find something to disagree with, which can make it hard to share enthusiasm or even have a simple, enjoyable exchange. After a while, it starts to feel like you are walking on eggshells, bracing for them to shoot down whatever you say, and that kind of energy is exhausting. Story 16. If someone calls a sandwich a Sammy, I might be headed to jail. Story 17. I hate being interrupted when I speak. Ugh. Story 18. I can hear excess saliva in the mouths of people when they speak. Story 19. People who are late, who do not use their turn signals, and who choose the treadmill right next to you when many others are available. Story 20. Many people feel an innate need to walk in the middle of the sidewalk. I like to walk quickly, and where I live sidewalks are usually busy and narrow. Even in less populated areas, more often than not someone walking alone moves slowly, perhaps distracted by their phone, and stays exactly in the middle, oblivious to anyone trying to pass. Story 21. I absolutely hate condescending people. It makes me livid, and I almost can't help saying something mean back to them. I know my self-worth, and I'm not a doormat. Story 22. Do not disrespect public transport etiquette. Let people get off the train or bus before you board. When leaving, do not stop after one step. You may need to figure out where you are going, but for goodness sake, do that somewhere you do not block others. Be aware of where you stand and walk, and make sure there is space for others to pass, because everyone at the station needs to go somewhere. Also follow the obvious rules. No loud music, do not put shoes on the seats, and dispose of your rubbish properly. Story 23. The whole autonomous sensory meridian response scene baffles me. I have no idea what it is about the quiet speaking, gentle popping, fingernail tapping, and sloshing sounds that have appeared across nearly every media source lately, but it sends awful shivers up my spine and makes me want to leave the room. Story 24. When people criticize media they have not watched, read, or heard, it is unfair. This happened a lot with Twilight. Although there are valid criticisms of the series, if you say you hate it and you have not even read it, you are being an asshole. Just say you are not interested in it. Story 25. If you are not ready when it's your turn in line, why did you wait until your turn to figure your shit out? Story 26. When I'm washing my hands and the cuff of my sleeve gets wet. Story 27. When I am visibly starting to do something and someone then tells me to do it, it makes me appear as if I lied about having started it before they suggested it. Story 28. Lose versus loose. They are there. But the one that really gets me is definitely versus defiantly. It must be because of autocorrect and people do not notice it or care. They do not even sound alike. Story 29. People who arrive late annoy me. Every minute they are late increases my frustration. Story 30. Hypocrisy makes me crazy. I also hate it when someone stops the microwave early but does not clear it. Story 31. I work at a college campus coffee shop. I am not currently enrolled in school. I may be asking too much, but I cannot stand it when someone comes to my register and I say hello and ask how they are, and they immediately start listing demands and treating me like dirt on their shoe. I know I am not in school and will never get a college degree, but just because you are does not mean you are above me or better than me. Story 32. Taking over while I am cooking, that is, adding ingredients to my food. Story 33. I am a multiple sneezer. The first bless you is okay. Anything after that just ticks me off. Story 34. People who watch Reels or TikTok videos at maximum volume in public spaces are inconsiderate. Common sense says not to do that. Story 35. People who do not return carts to the store or to outdoor cart corrals. Story 36. When people rapidly drum or tap their fingernails on whatever product or item they are hawking on social media or in movies, I find it increasingly irritating. Unless the content is specifically intended for autonomous sensory meridian response, I do not want to hear nails tapping on a frying pan. Story 37. I dislike things that are highly repetitive or so loud that I cannot hear myself think or speak. These issues tie together because I hate being constantly interrupted. Story 38. I do not know why, but I really hate feeling rushed, especially when it is not important. Story 39. When someone near me is listening to audio or video at 1.5 to 2 times the normal speed, that cadence instantly makes me feel like I want to rip my own ears off when I hear it peripherally. I get irritated when people walking in groups on a sidewalk do not narrow to single file when other people are nearby, passing, or coming the opposite way. I am also bothered when people say give me an item or I want an item as their way of ordering something at a restaurant. Story 40. Whistling is a high-pitched, obnoxious noise that makes my blood pressure spike. Story 41. Vocabulary evolves and it is hard. I'm not supposed to care. It's not a big deal. I am part of my generation's evolving vocabulary, and it feels irrational. Sometimes I just can't deal when someone says bussin or delilu or any new words I'm too old for. I do not overreact. I just roll my eyes and move on. I realize it is completely my fault, but it still pricks at my soul whenever I hear a new slang term. Story 42. Telling me to smile more just because my neutral face looks like I am angry. Asking me a question immediately after I take a bite of food. Leaving me awkward as I try to chew quickly to answer. Asking me to do something just after I sit down is very frustrating. Talking to me while I am trying to focus on a task forces me to stop repeatedly despite my noticeable size and people not taking notice. Story 43. People who put their bags on the seat next to them on an extremely busy bus infuriate me. It's 7 in the fucking morning, and you're gonna make me stand for 25 minutes just because you don't want someone next to you? It especially pisses me off when they don't give up their extra seat to an elderly or disabled person, so someone else has to give up their seat and stand for the rest of the ride even though they could have moved their bag and it wouldn't have inconvenienced anyone. It is beyond selfish. Story 44. People who get a rise from dampening other people's excitement. Story 45. Lying. Just be fucking honest. I would rather suffer the truth than be comforted by a lie. Story 46. I hate it when people do not realize there are millions of white Latinos and act as if white people cannot be Latino. Story 47. The lack of spatial awareness in public bothers me. I hate when people do not manage their children or pets. I am not going to stop walking for 90 seconds because your child stops in the middle of an aisle or walking path. If they cannot walk in a straight line, carry them or use a stroller. Do not get me started on dogs. And God forbid someone stands too close to me in line. Story 48. Dumb, arrogant, and entitled people. I do not think the reason is irrational, but some parents should never have children if this is their output. Story 49. People who do not clean toilets after using them and leave behind skid marks. Story 50. When people talk to me while I am trying to do something, I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and I can feel my brain splitting in half and my temper rising. Story 51. Abandoned shopping carts. Drivers using outbound or inbound lanes in parking lots. Error messages that read oops something went wrong with no additional details. Story 52. If I'm sitting down and people talk to me continuously while standing, it drives me absolutely nuts. The weird thing is I can't really explain why. Story 53. When people say chicken burger, bitch, that is a chicken sandwich. Story 54. When you tell someone no and they ignore you and do it anyway, tell them to fuck off and leave you the fuck alone if they are not going to listen to anything you say. Story 55. I hate tripping over shoes, whether they are on my feet or off. Puts me in an instant bad mood. Story 56. People who never take things seriously can be infuriating. You might be trying to tell them something important, and they will somehow turn it into a sexual joke. Story 57. Someone asks me what is wrong, and when I say nothing they say, no, really, what is wrong? Story 58. People who do rude things, then retell the story and add I am such a bitch as if that makes it okay or charming. If you know you are being rude, do better. It really annoys me. Story 59. When I am getting off the bus, people waiting to board often stand in the middle of the doorway with a dopey look on their faces. Move the heck out of the way if you want to get on. Story 60. Honestly, I get annoyed with people who are bothered by so much. You can't mention anything or have something happen without them saying how annoying or stupid it is. Story 61. People leaving coffee-stained spoons on the counter instead of putting them in the sink. Story 62. I dislike people who jab my work computer monitor, which I paid for, with their finger to point at something they are trying to show me. If you need me to place words on the screen for a brochure, simply tell me where. There is no need to slam your finger on the screen and drag it across. Words are enough. Story 63. Telling me about something they just found out, which I told them weeks or months ago. Story 64. People sometimes ask questions that do not need to be asked. For example, when you're playing Tetris on your computer and someone asks, "Are you playing Tetris?" You want to say, "Yes. What do you think?" Story 65. When people are unnecessarily rude to one another online, it only adds to the hate and ignorance already circulating. There is no need to contribute to it. Story 66. When I'm on the phone and someone in the room tries to talk to me or add something to the conversation, my brain just melts down and I feel a very intense rage. Weird. Story 67. Crinkling plastic just drives me up the wall. I realize people are not doing it to annoy me, but it does not stop it from annoying me intensely. There are a couple of other hearing-related issues as well. For example, when music or a television is playing loudly and someone tries to talk to me over it, I can hear them but have difficulty comprehending what they are saying because I cannot separate the sounds. Also, smooth jazz makes me want to smash whatever it is coming out of. It is not that I think it is bad music. It is actually very good music, but it just jangles my nerves. It all started within the last 8 to 10 years. Sounds never really bothered me before then. Story 68. The expression "no offense" but simply means I am about to offend you, but I am refusing you the right to tell me so. Also, the phrase "to make a long story short" always comes too late. Story 69. If my food is cold, I get so angry. I know it is ridiculous, but my meal is ruined. Story 70. The sound of people chewing makes me want to fight them immediately. I have had to tell people to get away when they eat within hearing distance. Misophonia is wild. It is like my body immediately goes, "How fucking dare you?" A close second is folding and hanging clothes for some reason. Story 71. People around me are biting their nails in the quiet room. Can hear wet, cracking sounds. Story 72. People who staunchly defend something that is obviously false just to troll. Story 73. Some people are genuinely unaware of their surroundings and of the other people nearby. For example, shoppers who stand in the middle of an aisle with a cart that blocks traffic, or who step back from a shelf and scan it from the center of the aisle, preventing others from passing. People who talk loudly on their phones or who place an order at the front of a long line, ask many questions, and then slowly put items back in their purse while holding up the line. Not everyone has the freedom to stand around leisurely. We have things to do. Story 74. Being mean, rude, or sarcastic to me is not flirting. Story 75. Using loose instead of lose and writing could or should followed by of instead of have makes me irrationally angry. Confusing they, their, and their or confusing your and your does not bother me much anymore. It is far too common. Story 76. There are many things that bother me. People who self-diagnose serious conditions without symptoms or any real knowledge. You wouldn't say, "I'm so uncoordinated today. Must be my multiple sclerosis." Or, "I've got some abdominal pain today. Damn pancreatic cancer." So why are we casually tossing around obsessive-compulsive disorder and depression when you're a little bit of a perfectionist or feeling a bit sad? That is not the same as clinical depression. People who do not consider others when acting. Do not stand in a high-traffic area. Do not point at something when your body obscures it and expect me to see what you mean. Clean up after yourself. And do not walk side by side when passing people on a narrow trail or sidewalk. Bad, reckless, or selfish driving. Do not change lanes during a turn or in an intersection. Do not pull so far forward at a stop that you obscure the line of sight of a person who could turn right on red. Do not cruise in the passing lane. Pay attention at traffic lights so you do not make everyone else wait. Do not make your navigation errors everyone else's problem, and do not park inconsiderately. General rudeness. Do not snap your fingers at someone to get their attention. Do not fling cash or your credit card at me when paying. Do not hand me sticky, wet, or greasy cards or money. Do not throw your garbage on the ground. Do not soil the seat or floor of a public restroom. Do not publicly discuss plans that exclude someone. And do not hijack everyone's ability to listen by talking excessively loud or using speakerphone. Bad hygiene. Brush your teeth. Do laundry, shower, wash your hands, and flush the toilet when you are done. I keep an air freshener at my station at work because some customers have an overpowering odor. People who let their children behave badly. Do not let your kids destroy things that are not theirs. Do not let your kids run up to my dog and then yell at me to keep her away from them. And do not let your kids grab items that do not belong to them. I know some of these things overlap. I could go on. I have a very low tolerance for minor annoyances, and I know that. I do not fly off the handle every time something from this list happens, though it does happen frequently. but I definitely get annoyed and have to hide it. That does not change the fact that people are being obnoxious when they do these things. I am not particularly warm and fuzzy, and I do not hide that, but I am courteous and try hard to consider how my actions affect others. That is probably why it bothers me so much that other people do not put forth any effort. Story 77. In public restrooms, the faucets give me exactly 1.7 seconds of water. Can I have a few more seconds to rinse all this soap off? Then there is the postage stamp-sized piece of paper towel to dry my hands afterward. Story 78. When anyone is in the kitchen while I am trying to cook a meal, my husband will cruise in, stand in front of the cabinet I need to casually grab crackers from, then move to the other cabinet I now need and stand there eating the crackers. He says he is trying not to be in the way, but he is. I even move the dog out of the way. Story 79. Loud chewing. One day, I looked my sister dead in the eyes and said that she should chew her carrots quietly or I would beat her to death with her own purse. I got a lot of weird looks at church that day. Story 80. I'm at the age where I'm learning to make my own appointments. My dad, without fail, always pipes up in the middle of phone calls to remind me about things he says I forgot to mention. Hi, I'm just calling to make an appointment for Thursday. Tell them your name. My name is. Tell them you want this specific doctor. I've come close to jumping out of the car when this happens. Story 81. Animals licking themselves. I mean, I get it when they are grooming themselves, but the noise is just ugh. My dog has a ball that he likes to sit and lick. Of course I want him to be able to enjoy it, but it really annoys me. Story 82. I cannot stand when people do not make room for others in the grocery store. They block the aisle with their cart and take up large sections with their body. Story 83. Ticket touts and scalpers at concerts and the people who sell counterfeit merchandise outside venues. Those voices generated by artificial intelligence that you hear on videos and reels across every social media platform. Enforced fun or forced merriment. I am a colossal introvert. If someone tries to force or guilt trip me into being sociable or into doing something they enjoy but I cannot stand, I will absolutely resent them for it. All the questions, comments, and jokes I constantly hear about my height, 6 feet 7 inches. I try hard not to be self-conscious about my size, but it is almost impossible when people will not stop talking about it. Story 84. People who clap at the end of a movie. No one is going to come out and bow. Story 85. Older women at the thrift store who position themselves directly in front of you in the clothing aisle, forcing you to be the bigger person and move to browse somewhere else. You have the whole aisle, yet you choose to stand right next to me. Story 86. Just one? Well, because it is front of mind. Letting doors slam shut. I acknowledge that it is a childhood issue. I have asked my husband more than 100 times to please stop letting the doors slam. He goes in and out of our garage more than 15 times a day and lets the door slam behind him every time. I have to straighten the items hanging on our walls all the time, and it drives me batty. He installed a hinge that helped for a while, but it has worn out. He has told me 3 times in the past week that he will adjust or replace it. Now that I think about it, that is another pet peeve of mine. Story 87. Loud sneezes. I understand people have to sneeze and that sneezes vary in volume, but there is no reason to involve the vocal cords. The phrase bless you also annoys me. It is bad enough that another person made a childlike sound, and now you have to give your 2 cents? Story 88. People who blatantly lie all the time. People who eat loudly or make too much noise with silverware. People who act self-righteous. People who cannot park or drive properly. People who lack compassion. People who do not greet you. People who do not open doors for others. People who make fun of other circumstances, shortcomings, or disabilities. People who tattle or snitch at school or work. People who are sneaky. People who shun family and friends over political or social views and give ultimatums. People who are obnoxiously arrogant. People who put their hands on others unprovoked. People who judge others' wardrobes. People who do not have manners with servers. People who are bad parents. Story 89. When I am on a busy trail and people do not walk on the right side, they disrupt the flow and make me irrationally annoyed. I wish I did not feel that way. Story 90. Caraway makes me irrationally angry. It is especially disgusting on an everything bagel. Just because it is called an everything bagel does not mean it should contain caraway. It ruins a perfectly good bagel. Story 91. Weirdly niche, but it bothers me when people walk up the stairs diagonally or cross the road diagonally so you cannot pass them. Move over or pick a side, especially when they walk slowly. Story 92. When people leave bags full of dog feces near a path for everyone to see, assuming the owners will pick them up later, it is a pet peeve of mine. Story 93. When someone flicks their nails together, it annoys me instantly. Story 94. Waiting for people who walk diagonally across a parking lot in front of my car. Story 95. Chewing with your mouth open. I do not mean kind of open. I know two people in my life I cannot avoid who chew as if they are trying to show off. Story 96. When people interrupt me while I am speaking, I ask them to wait their turn or at least pause. Story 97. When I pass things out to the table groups of my students, they instantly race to be the first to grab whatever it is. There is always enough for everyone. Story 98. I don't like it when people shout across a room to get someone's attention. Just walk over and ask in a normal voice. Story 99. Printed tags on shirts. Why can't you screen print the sizing on the shirt as other clothing stores do? These scratchy tags are immediately cut off with scissors or ripped off because they make me feel itchy. Story 100. I cannot stand entitled, selfish drivers. For example, I was backing out of a parking space into the street when a driver who clearly saw me reversing drove around me. Then, as I started driving down the road, he put on his left turn signal not even 2 streets down and blocked me from proceeding. Needless to say, I did the only irrational thing I could. I honked my horn. Story 101. School and college events. I mean the formally organized ones which you typically sit through about 4 times a year. They always have the same boring keynote speakers and lackluster performances. I thought it would end once I got to college, but I recently sat through 4 hours of terrible dancing, out-of-tune singing, and poor music choices at a class freshers event. Story 102. People who lick their fingers while eating. We have napkins for a reason. I have a friend who used to lick all 4 fingers regularly at the table, but they do that much less often now because of my complaints, which makes me laugh out loud. Story 103. People who speak slowly and over-explain things irritate me. I do not have the whole day to hear your opinions. Story 104. I think rubbernecking, specifically pausing to observe a minor car accident and consequently bringing traffic to a halt, is a sign that humanity is hopeless. We deserve everything bad coming at us. Story 105. If someone walks up to the front desk and the first words out of their mouth are either, "I am a member of the American Association of Retired Persons," or, "I am a Diamond member," there is no way they are not paying full price for the room, and if I can swing it, a $10 upcharge. Story 106. I cannot stand when people end their words with an sound. All throughout high school, girls whined to each other and said things like Noah. It drives me nuts. Story 107. When I'm reading and someone talks to me and expects me to answer, I'm not even here. I'm in a different world right now. Story 108. Tell me I did something I did not do, or say I acted the way they believe, and feeling obliged to defend myself provides all the ammunition needed for an argument to ensue. Story 109. I am short and have a baby face, so I get really annoyed when people talk to me like I am a child, especially when they expect me to respect them afterward. Story 110. People trying to start a conversation with me right after I wake up. Story 111. People watch videos at full volume in the staff break room without wearing headphones. Others try to talk to you while you are eating lunch. I do not want to hear about your nephew graduating from kindergarten. We can discuss it during work hours. We are not going to talk about it while I am trying to have an hour of quiet during my workday. This is why I now take my break in my car off company property. Story 112. People who enter elevators or trains before other passengers have had a chance to exit. Story 113. People who do a month's banking at an automated teller machine with numerous deposits, withdrawals, and transfers. Go to the bank. That is what they are for. Dogo, Pupper, and Fur Baby. You are not cute. You were just annoying. Story 114. Parking fouls such as parking in front of a gas pump without pumping gas, just to use the convenience store. Parking in a fire lane in front of a store. I will not hesitate to make a snarky comment to someone I witnessed doing this. This is ultimate laziness in my humble opinion. Driving diagonally across a large, half-empty parking lot, cutting across painted lines. What on earth? Park at right angles. 90-degree turns, please. It is not that hard. You do not have to race to find a good spot for crying out loud. Story 115. People who finish your sentences are taking credit for what you said. Story 116. People with poor elevator etiquette should allow passengers to exit before boarding. Do not try to squeeze past others to get on. Do not stand directly in front of the doors while waiting. Story 117. People who say they are listening or looking when they are clearly not while I am trying to show them something or get their attention. Just tell me you are busy or something. Do not lie to me. Story 118. I dislike unnecessary loud noises, especially from cars and motorcycles. Story 119. People who constantly interrupt others. Who the fuck raised them? Story 120. Other people are in my area. I fucking hate that. Story 121. People using speakerphone in public without earbuds. I do not want or need to hear about your personal problems. Story 122. People who base their poor decisions and personalities on horoscopes and think it is cute or quirky for some reason choose to be rude in public. Oh my gosh, guys. I just yelled at the waitress because I am hangry. Laughing out loud. I am such a Pisces. Story 123. When some damn fool cuts every sentence in half while speaking. Story 124. Saying ax instead of ask. I know it is an accepted vernacular, but come on. Story 125. Talking over someone else. Television banners that cover the bottom of the screen during a show. Brainwashed idiots on Reddit. Story 126. Kids crying as if they were being torn in two when they were just having a tantrum. I looked normal on the outside, but inside my head I had already thought of ways to make the child stop, and they were the kind of thoughts that could land me in prison. Story 127. People who misspell basic words are careless. The word to is a 3-letter word and you got it wrong. Be very ashamed. Story 128. People online who put others down for asking a question. Example. Anyone know of a flashcard app to help me learn Python? Reply. What the heck is the industry coming to when people are learning via flashcards? Story 129. Your versus you are. Could have. I could not care less. Just no. Story 130. People with no spatial or situational awareness, or people in general, frustrate me. I've wished for the apocalypse more than once. Story 131. Chewing with your mouth open bothers me. I used to try to be cool about it. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I will say something 100% of the time. I am far less likely to comment on moaning and grunting while eating, but on some level that bothers me too. Story 132. People who want to tell me something say it to my baby instead. Like, what the heck? Story 133. In this day and age, it irritates me that when you copy and paste something, it does not automatically match the format of the rest of the document. I know there are multiple shortcuts, but why does technology not do it for us? Story 134. People walk or run in the road when there is a perfectly good sidewalk right next to them. Why are you doing this? Are you trying to prove something to the sidewalk? Story 135. People who leave their dogs outside day and night to bark continuously. Story 136. People who stand in doorways to have conversations are annoying. It is 10 times worse when they stand in an elevator doorway and will not let the doors close because they are talking. Story 137. When I go to watch a movie through streaming and there is no trailer, I only get one short sentence about the plot. That is not enough. 99.9% of the time there is a trailer available, but I have to look it up on YouTube to see it. Why not upload the trailer if you have it? Streaming services. Story 138. Wet socks. I hate that so much, and it is definitely not rational. Story 139. If I were president for a day, I would make cutting in line punishable by summary execution. Not joking. If you cut in line, you are not needed in society. Story 140. Leaving time on a microwave? How hard is it to push a fucking button? Story 141. People who hold silverware like a shovel. People who smack their gum. Mouth breathers. People who chew with their mouths open. It drives me crazy, and 9 times out of 10 I say something. Stoplights. Waiting in line at restaurants. Crinkling chip bag noises that last longer than they should. People with a wad of lottery tickets who hold up the line. Story 142. This morning someone sent me a screenshot of a phone contact instead of sharing it. I needed the information to add someone to a chat group. I am still annoyed 8 hours later. Story 143. Pro tip. No one listens to sound advice. Story 144. When people hum in public as if they want attention, it makes me uncomfortable. Story 145. There are a few things. I cannot handle any clutter. My mother is a hoarder, so you can imagine. People eating with their mouths open disturb me. The sound makes my skin crawl. Bad drivers upset me. Some of the worst drivers on the planet live in this area. What bothers me most is people who do not put away their shopping carts. It is pure laziness and a common cause of vehicle damage. I am not perfect, but these are a few things that truly bother me. Story 146. I'm walking out of a store. Someone walking toward the store stops me to ask whether the store is still open. What the heck? You're going into the store. Go and find out. Guys keep trying to talk to me even when I show no interest. This recently happened. A man made small talk. Can I have your number? No. Oh, are you with someone? No. I just don't want to give you my number. Oh, okay. I think you're pretty and I'd love to take you out to dinner. What's your favorite place to eat? I walked away before he could finish. Story 147. People ringing the bell on the bus 15 billion times. I want to scream. Look at the sign. It says bus stopping in red. I heard you ding once. People who arrive late to events. I could be 15 minutes into a movie and people are still arriving. No excuses. People who do not say thank you when I hold the door open for them. Rude people. I always say you're welcome just to make a point, laughing out loud. Story 148. When you can tell from someone's voice that they need to clear their throat or have excess saliva, it changes their voice enough to sound like a 5% Smeagol impersonation. Story 149. Loud, tuned exhaust. Fancy downshifting. Pop and crackle. I hate those fuckers. Story 150. People who do not cover their mouths when they yawn bother me. I do not want to look all the way down your gaping maw at your uvula. Dude. Story 151. People who never knock before entering make me swear often and loudly. Story 152. The caduceus staff is often misused as a symbol of medicine. Does it ultimately matter? No. Do I get annoyed anyway? Yes. The rod of Asclepius does not have wings. Story 153. I get irrationally irritated when someone coughs. I am not talking about coughing without covering their mouth. I mean just coughing. I have no idea why, and I have to remind myself that this is not something I can get mad at someone for. Story 154. I find it so hard to have a conversation with people who talk really slowly when my brain is screaming at them to hurry the heck up. Story 155. People who chew with their mouths open. From the sound of lips smacking to seeing grossly chewed up food. I get so annoyed that I do not even care about being rude. Close your fucking mouth while you eat. Story 156. When someone forces food onto my plate after I have said no, or places it without asking after I have already said I will serve myself, I know they mean well, but it drives me crazy. Story 157. Someone picks something up in a store and does not put it back exactly where it was or return it the way they found it, that is, folding a shirt or at least attempting to. Retail empathy is not hard. Story 158. Do not stop in doorways or on paths leading to exits. Go inside and look around. Do not block people from entering. Story 159. DoorDash drivers shove their phones in my face, especially during a FaceTime call or when using the speakerphone. Story 160. People walk down the street without looking where they are going because they are staring at their phones. For some reason, they also block the way or run into you. Story 161. When you are trying to show someone a TV show or movie you like, and the person beside you talks through it or stares at their phone, then asks, "Wait, what's happening?" Or "What are they doing?" at random points because they have not been paying attention. Story 162. Being K-ed. Someone using the phrase, "gives me the ick." Story 163. I am doing cardio at the gym. I cannot stand it when people have conversations at full volume near the cardio machines. Story 164. People slamming doors. When I was a kid, if you slammed a door, you had to stand and open and close it quietly 100 times. Story 165. Walking behind someone in a store when they stop and block the entire aisle. Story 166. I do not give drivers who do not give me enough room on the road any space. Story 167. Driving around the parking lot waiting for a closer spot. Just park the damn car and let's get to where we're going. Story 168. Two things I just can't take. First, when someone almost drives their car through a bend. I know you're supposed to go slowly through a corner or when making a left or right turn, but there's a pedal to your right. Press it a bit. Second, when people start talking to each other in a grocery store. Fine by me, but put the cart to the side and move aside too. Story 169. A small pet peeve of mine is when you are on the road and the car in front or beside you leaves half or a full car length of space ahead while queuing at traffic lights. After 2 or 3 such gaps, another car could easily slip in. I am from the United Kingdom, so roads are narrower and every bit of space counts. Story 170. As I get older, I notice people are very loud. Why do people walk slowly, paying attention only to their phones? Story 171. Lying in bed, sitting on a couch, or sitting close to someone other than my boyfriend and being touched makes me uncomfortable. I hate being touched. I am visiting my sister and sleeping next to her for a week. Every time her foot, leg, or arm touches me while she sleeps, I get grossed out and oddly angry. She is not dirty, far from it, but it still freaks me out. I do not push her, wake her, or yell. I simply adjust myself, but I do not know why it upsets me. Story 172. People saying Jay-Z cannot rap or was never the best bother me. I know Reddit opinions should not bother me, but that still irks me. Story 173. You're at a bus stop, and someone throws trash on the ground even though a garbage can is 3 steps away. Story 174. People who put their car in park at drive-through windows and then take forever to shift back into drive really irritate me. Story 175. When you are at the drive-up automated teller machine, the car ahead withdraws cash and, instead of pulling forward to let you use it, the driver spends the next 30 seconds messing with papers and arranging all their belongings before moving. Story 176. Websites with pop-ups on the homepage, particularly pop-ups that demand something from you, for example asking you to subscribe or claim a discount and so on. How about you let me view the fucking content on your website first? Story 177. People who scuff their feet when they walk infuriate me, and I do not know why. Story 178. Yelling my name from the other room, especially when someone wants something, is rude. If you want my attention, walk over and talk to me. I'm not on standby waiting for orders. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.